Week long, as I have prepared for Parashat VaYishlach, I've thought of the verse with which Yaakov begins his prayer. Katonti mikol hachasidim mikol hamet asher asita et avdecha kiv makli avarti et harden hazeh v'ata hayiti l'shnei machanot. I'm unworthy of all the kindness that you have so steadfastly shown your servant. With my staff alone I crossed this Jordan, and now I have become two camps. The verse, it's very poignant language, and also, Tzon Razael made a very beautiful song out of these words, which is included in the source sheet if you want to listen. If you're not familiar with the song, it's beautiful. I've been thinking about it all week long. Such poignant, beautiful prayers. The meaning is actually not so obvious. Katonti mikol hachasidim. Rashi says, I have become small from all the good that you have done to me. I've been diminished. I've used up my credit, and therefore all I can do is pray without any assumption that my prayers will be answered. That's Rashi's explanation. Ramban, which objects to Rashi, points out katonti doesn't really mean I have gotten smaller, and also he says that the timing doesn't quite work because God's promises to Yaakov were immediately, God's second promises to Yaakov were immediately prior to his return to Eretz Yisrael, and so there wasn't really time for any of that merit to be diminished by anything that Yaakov may have done, and so if that's what it meant, the timing doesn't quite work out. And so Ramban says, no, what Yaakov is saying is, Katonti, I am too small. I am unworthy to receive all the goodness that you have already shown me. It's an expression of humility before Yaakov pleads with God for rescue. Rav Amnon Bazak, in a comment that he posted to his Facebook page at Parashat VaYishlach 5 years ago, which he's an amazing book of short, shot-based insights into Parashat Shavua. This one is not included in his book, so I noticed it from his Facebook page and I saved it. He points out, first of all, just what it meant for Yaakov to divide his family, his whole household, into shtei machanot. It's such a desperate move to say that, let me at least save some, okay, so that, but which is great that you can save some of your family, some of your household, but it means that he's really seriously grappling with the likelihood that up to half of his family and household will be lost in this battle, which is a very, very grim prospect to face. And that's Yaakov's mindset as he approaches this prayer in anticipation of his encounter with Esav. But Rav Bazak points out that if you look really, really carefully, he's explaining the chesed v'emet asher asita ledecha. What is the good that God did for me? That I crossed this Yarden just with my makal, just with my staff. I had nothing. I was all by myself. I had nothing. I had no one with me when I left Eretz Yisrael, crossing the Jordan to travel to Haran. V'ata, now I have such a vast family, so much wealth and family and my household that I can divide into two as I confront Esav in this battle. So at least there'll be a remnant that will survive. And so despite the pathos and the poignancy and the terrible, terrible fear that led Yaakov to divide his family in two, to say at least some of them might survive, but up to half of my children will be wiped out in this battle, nonetheless, actually, he turns around and says, this is actually the result of this blessing, that I have so many children, my family and my household, and that my possessions have grown so vast that I'm even in this position to make this impossible decision of dividing my family into two. So this is also seems to me, again, Razak noticed this in Pshat 5 years ago. Yaakov said this thousands of years ago, but that's in some ways very resonant of the moment that Israel finds itself, the Bnei Yisrael, the children of Yaakov, the children of Israel find ourselves in now. We have hostages, thank God, this week have come free. We have dozens of hostages who remain in captivity. There's, at least as I'm recording this, a return to an act of fighting, which might free some hostages, but has a very high likelihood of leading to the deaths of others, and certainly of Chayalim, and many others in this truly, truly bloody conflict. And nonetheless, so it's a horrific choices that are being put before us. Whose life to prioritize and how and when. It's an impossible decision, but it's also a result of real bracha to be in a situation where Am Yisrael Yeshev B'Tzion, the Jewish people living in Eretz Yisrael are so many that and so strong that these unanswerable ethical dilemmas and family dilemmas confront us, and that it is actually, to have come with nothing and to now be in a situation where these impossible decisions are before us, that actually is also a result of chesed, of a certain amount of kindness that God has given us to allow us to grow in numbers and in strength, that we're even faced with these impossible decisions. Always appropriate to find some source of a reason to be grateful, and to, from that stance of gratitude, to then pray and plead with God for mercy and for salvation. And ultimately, there's something very hopeful about Yaakov's confrontation with Esav, that despite his fear, despite his preparations for a battle, which Yaakov was prepared to lose half of his children, half of his family and household, actually Esav ended up not being a threat. And the two brothers were able to embrace and to reconcile. And that's the most hopeful relic of this week's Parsha of them all. I wish you all Shabbat Shalom. I'm really excited to see you all and daven with you and be with you the coming day.